3 go. These are the questions that I've asked in my previous session. What happens when name node crashes in Hadoop 2 and Hadoop 3? So in Hadoop 2 and Hadoop 3, there are standby name nodes. I don't remember if I spoke about standby name nodes in my session, but they do have standby name nodes. So in Hadoop 2, you have only one standby name node. So when the name node crashes, the standby becomes the main name node. And in Hadoop 3, you can have more than one. So you can have two standby name nodes. So if the standby node doesn't come up, then you can try the next standby name node. That's the difference between Hadoop 2 and Hadoop 3. In Hadoop 1, there is no standby nodes. So it's the single point of failure. That's why there's no HA available in Hadoop 1. There is a difference between journal nodes, standby name nodes, or the passive name nodes, and secondary name nodes. So this is something you have to understand. If you have a HA means high availability configuration, then the standby name node becomes your name node. Okay, so if you don't have an HA capability, then you can set up a secondary name node. In case of a secondary name node, what it does is it corrects it. What it does is it takes the file system image and it merges all the edit logs. So it reduces the functioning of the name node so that it can do that work for you. So here you have to understand like 3 or 4 things at once. There's a name node and there's a passive name node or the standby name node. There's a secondary name node which is not in the HA architecture. What the secondary name node does is it reduces the function of the name node of merging this files, the edit logs into the file system image. But there needs to be, how can the standby name node just come up without being in sync? That's why it needs journal nodes. What the journal nodes do is they actually sync the file system image between the active and the passive. So that is why you need journal nodes. So between Hadoop 2 and Hadoop 3, it's pretty much the same HA capability in a way. However, in Hadoop 2, there's only one standby. In Hadoop 3, there's more than one standby. So I want you to read this a little bit more carefully and then answer that question. The next question is, what's the difference between an application manager and an application master? Application manager is part of the resource manager of Yarn. What it does is it manages all the applications that have been submitted to Yarn. And what the application master is the driver container that is running, which manages your application. So whatever driver you write, it runs inside the application master and it negotiates with the resource manager for running its tasks. So that's the application master and the difference between application master and application manager. What's the difference between the node manager and the resource manager? The resource manager is the one which is sitting at the top level and managing the resources in your cluster. Node manager manages the resources of your node. And it communicates to the resource manager about the availability of resources, and also it also works in tandem with your application master. So that is the difference between a node manager and a resource manager. What are some of the scheduling techniques? Scheduling, there are lots of scheduling techniques which are called first in, first out, or fair share scheduling. So there are specific scheduling techniques which you can set in Yarn, which are some of the priority scheduling that is available. Because it's a multi-tenant architecture, you need different styles of scheduling so that the higher priority jobs run before the low priority jobs. And is Yarn single or multi-tenant? Multi-tenant. By multi-tenant, it means more than one user. So you can, the whole corporation can use the Yarn, and each department can submit their own jobs. And based on the user quotas and their scheduling techniques, the jobs get assigned. How does the resource manager know the resource availability of nodes? Through the node manager. The node manager communicates to the resource manager. So there's one service that's available inside Yarn. One second, I'm just going to show you that. So if you look at the in-depth part of Yarn, which I didn't go through a lot because it's too much at the same time. So there's a resource tracker service. This is actually responding and understanding which nodes are available, how much memory and CPU and all that I have. So and it's managing your nodes and everything. So that's how Yarn will know how many nodes are there and how much memory and everything is available. This is the anatomy of a resource manager. You don't need to go into so much of detail, but this is how Yarn will know how much resources are available, whether it can schedule the job or not. Going back to the questions, why do we need a driver program for MapReduce? You need a driver program for MapReduce because you need to know where are your input paths, where are your output paths, what is your map program, what is your reducer program, and how many maps you need, how many reducers need, what is the sequence of reducers that you need, what is the sequence of execution that you need. This is all written in a driver program. So I'll show you how a driver program is written in a few minutes. But that's why you need a driver program. And because this driver is executed in the application manager, which manages your entire execution of your MapReduce. Can we have map-only programs? Yes, you can absolutely have map-only programs, but the output is going to be a name value per output. If you don't care about it, yeah, you can have a map-only programs. What is the difference between a combiner and a partitioner? Combiner is a local reducer. The reason why people set up combiners is because you do not want so much of data in your network which is going to be broadcasted and pushed for shuffle and sort. You wanted to do the reducer part at the node itself, so that you just send a trickle of the data outside, and then you can process it. This is very, very important when you have a huge MapReduce program, because once you have a huge MapReduce program, if you have so many key value pairs in your mapper which has been sent to the shuffle and sort, then your entire cluster is now like literally hogged with data that is moving through the network. So you have a local reducer. That's why you need a combiner. And a partitioner will help you in your in defining your partitions. So sometimes people want to have ascending keys or something like that. Then you can write your own custom partitioner. The default partitioner that is available in MapReduce is a hash partitioner. So it brings hash keys together and it creates the partition splits. But if you want your specific partitioning strategy, then you can use your own custom partition. What is the difference between a record reader and an input split? Input split is a logical split that is sent to a mapper. And once the input split is sent, a record by record is sent to the mapper, and that is based on the record reader. The record reader reads one line at a time and sends it to your map program. So that's the difference between a record reader and an input split. So now I will go a little bit in depth of what I wanted to show you in the MapReduce, and then I'll stop, take a pause, more questions, and then I'll go into Spark. So the first thing I wanted to show you was how a MapReduce program is written. So this is the input. You have a bus car. I think it's a word count to identify how many buses, how many cars, trains, and whatever are there in this input file. So don't worry about all this. I'll just show you first the MapReduce program, and then I will take you to the how each phase has been split up. So this is a typical MapReduce program that is written. So this is the driver. So this is how a driver is written. And there is a map and there is a reducer. So this is the map part of it, and this is the reduce part of it. The first step that you do is take this is the input path, output path that you're setting, and your job name is word count, and this is setting the driver class. So it's the word count dot class. This is setting the mapper class, that is the map for word count. This is setting the reducer class, which is reduce for word count. And the next one in this is what is the output keys. So what is that you're sending out as an output class, and what is the output value that you're sending. So this is actually telling you the value. So my key is bus, train, whatever, and the output key value is it's the count. And my input format file, and this is basically setting up the file input formats and output formats for your input and output, because you've set the input paths. And then it waits for the job to complete. You can keep your driver running for your job to be completed, or you can just exit the program. You don't even need to wait for the driver. Like, there are two ways of actually running the driver. If you run it inside the cluster, you don't need the client to wait for the driver to complete. The driver completes and it communicates at a later point in time, or you can actually write you can actually check it inside Yarn. Or you can, if you're running inside the client, then you'll wait for the driver to complete and then you can look at the result. So there are a few ways of doing the same program, but that's the way for wait for completion. So this is map for word count. What basically, this is the mapper. So what basically, nobody looks at this key. This is just some random hash key that's been sent. That's the value. So people care about the value that comes into the map reduce. And what you do in this value is you're getting the line, the first line. And then you're splitting that line based on commas. So here, if you have a line like this, bus, comma, car, comma, whatever, whatever, whatever. So this is the first line, right? Bus, comma, car, comma, bus, comma, whatever, whatever. That is actually split into words. That's the split line. And now you're looping through the words, and for each key, you're setting it's found once, and you're writing it to the output. So what this is doing is, if you have 3 lines like this, it reads the first line, splits them into words, and just sets 1. I found bus once. Even you have bus, bus, bus here, it's going to have bus, bus, bus here with 1, 1, 1. So that's what this map stage is doing. And then the next one is the shuffle and sort. At the time of shuffle and sort, all the buses come to a single partition. That is what that's why you need a, so because all of them have the same key. Hash of the bus, bus, bus is going to be the same thing. It's going to go to the same partition. So here he used bus, bus as 2. The reason he got it is maybe he used a combiner somewhere. Because if you don't have a combiner, you will never add up. So then what happens is when it goes into the reduce, then it adds up the same key value and writes to the output. So I'll show you the reducer here. There is the reducer. Yeah, the reducer, what it's doing is it's getting the word, which is bus, and the value 1, 1, 1. So it's looping through all of them and it's combining all of them, all the numbers, and it's writing the word and the sum of it. So when you just need to be about, so don't worry about if I'm going to get bus, train, car, everything into this, it will not. It will get only one word and all the values to that. So it's going to have a bus and all the values to it, train, all the values to it, car, all the values to it, because it's one key. So that's going to add up everything and it's going to set it out into the output. So your output file is going to look like this. So what I wanted to explain is the driver program will tell you where your input file is, where do you want to write your output file, how to write, what is your map program, what is your reducer program. If you have a combiner, what is a combiner? If you want to write your own specific partitioner, what is a specific partitioner? All that stuff is actually written in the driver. In the map part of it, you're actually, what you're doing is you don't care about the hash value of the key that you're getting. You only care about the text value that you're getting. You're going to split the words into multiple words and set 1. If you see, you set 1 because this word is found once in that line. It really doesn't matter. You can just set 1, 1, 1, 1, and the reduce stage for that single key, you get all the iterative values for that key, and then you iterate through it. You add up all of them into a sum, and you write the sum. So that's the mapper and the reducer, and this is the high level of how to write a map reduce program. I don't anticipate you guys writing a map reduce anymore because nobody writes that. I will go straight into Spark and explain you how Spark works. So this is just a beginning or an introduction of how to write big data programs and how it was traditionally written. So so 1 second, I'm recording right now. So I'll pause the recording and I'll take questions. So this is how a typical map reduce has been done. So I'll stop the recording and I'll take more questions.